Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Nick's Impromptu Reviews. My name is Nick, and today I'm going to review Commands and Colors Ancients by GMT Games and designed by Richard Borg. And if you're familiar with GMT Games and Richard Borg, if you put the two and two together, you know that it's more likely to be a war game, and yes, it is a war game. And in fact, Richard Borg has a trademark system that is used in the other games like Memoir 44, Battle Cry, and what's the last one? Oh yeah, Battle War. Okay, and they all have the same system, and it's naturally called the Commands and Colors system. Okay, well, this is Commands and Colors Ancients, and it's a two-player war game, and it's card-driven. It has no dice involved like a lot of other war games. It's a two-player battle. And it's set in the ancient Roman times and in the base set you have ancient Rome going up against the Carthaginians, right? And it's a pretty, I guess you would say, not necessarily a light war, kind of a light war game. It's not a heavy war game. It's a nice medium-paced war game that's set in ancient Roman times, and it's basically little skirmishes between two armies, and you just, march your troops across the field and fight. Okay, well, let's see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's a typical setup for a scenario of Commands and Colors Ancients, and there are several. Comes a scenario book, the original game. All right, and it has, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different scenarios, okay? In this case, we're going to be playing the first scenario, which is the Battle of Archegos in 406 BC. All right, so we have the Romans set up on the near side and the Carthaginians set up on the other side. So one person plays the Carthaginians, one person plays the Romans, and you set it up as so. You have the little 4 blocks. Those are the foot units. Okay, these medium-sized 3 blocks, and each of them have a different individual block. Those are the cavalry, and let me see. The Carthaginians, they actually have chariots, which are 2 blocks, and these little tall blocks, those represent the leaders. Okay, and they play a real important part in this game. Okay, so depending on the scenario, the setup will be different, and also each player will start out with a handful of cards. Okay, and again, depending on the scenario, the number of cards you start out with really depends on the scenario. In this scenario, the Romans have 6 cards, and the Carthaginians start out with 5 cards, and that'll also be your card limit. Also is your command number. Okay, and the higher the command number, the better. So right now, the Romans have an advantage in command because they have a hand size of 6 as opposed to 5 for the Carthaginians. Alright, so in this scenario, the Romans go first. Okay, and here's how a typical move in Commands and Colors Ancient goes first. You do not roll dice, but what you do is you play a card. And these cards give you orders. Alright, and when you order a unit, they move and attack. Okay, so here we go. So let's see this. So when we can do this, and we'll play one of these cards. So order medium troops. Okay, and medium troops are represented by the blue triangle. Okay, and let me see. Actually, I don't think the Romans start out with any medium. Oh, actually they do. Okay, so they have this medium cavalry unit, as you can see, has a triangle up there, so they'll be able to move and attack. Alright, so what you're gonna do is you can play that, and let's go ahead and play that. And what you can do, so you show the card, and then you act accordingly. And this one says you can issue an order to a number of medium foot and medium mounted units less than or equal to your command. My command is 6, so I can order up to 6 medium-sized units. Well, it's no big deal because I only have 1 unit, and they can move 3, I believe. Well, before I get into it, make sure. Alright, here you have this little handy dandy cheat sheet. Okay, each player has it. And let me see, where the heck is the movement? Oh, that's cavalry. Oh, here we go. Alright, so median cavalry, they move 3. Okay, so what I can do is go by the hexes and move 3. Okay, now there are also some cards that tell you to move not just a particular unit, but they tell you to move units from a certain area. And if you look at the map real closely, notice the little dotted lines. Okay, the map is divided into 3 sections. Okay, this is the left flank, it's the middle, and that's the right flank. Okay, so if one of your command cards says to move units from the left flank, it has to be units from this side. If it says to move from the middle flank, it says it has to be on this side, and if to move from the right flank, it has to be on that side. Okay, so it's not just the type of units it'll tell you to move, it'll tell you what type of what type of units you can move depending on their section. Okay, so let me give you an example of an order that pretty much orders units from a certain section. Okay, and let's play this one. Order 3 units right. Okay, so from the right flank, right there, I can order 3 units, and when you order a unit, they move in battle. Okay, so let's see how this works. All right, so we look at a little cheat sheet right here, and we see that let me see, I have some light infantry on that side, and they get to move 2, and they have a firing range of 1. All right, so let's see if I can move this. All right, so I can move 3 units from the right, and so this thing moves 2, 1, 2. All right, I can move this right into here, 1. All right, and I can, let's see, why don't we go ahead and move these little guys right here. Actually, with the auxilia, they get to move, let's see, they can move 1 and fire 2, or 2 and 1. Okay, so let's just try this. Let's go 1, 2. All right. Now, notice they're all on the right side. Now, there are some hexes that are on the border, and if there's a unit on that border of a section, it's considered to be in both sections. So, had I had a unit right here, all right, it would be considered in both the right flank and the middle. Okay, so if I had a card that has a movement from a unit from the middle or the right, I'll be able to move that. Okay, so that's pretty much an advantage right there. Okay, and after you move, you can battle. All right, and the battle depends on the range. This one has a range of 1 when it moves, so it will not be able to attack. However, right here they're adjacent, so they can do a close combat. All right, and here's how combat works. Okay, so once a unit is ordered, they will be able to attack. Okay, and here's how the battles work. Okay, so as we can see, we had this unit with the leader. They moved over here, and they're going to attack these chariots right there. Okay, so what you do is you roll these special dice. Okay, and I'll show you what. Well, they have different symbols and squares, but I'll show you what they represent. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the unit they're attacking. Okay, so they're attacking a chariot, which is, let's see if I can get it here. All right, and if you look in the upper right-hand corner, it is a red square. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to typically roll a red square on this dice. Now, certain colors, it's a 1 in 6 chance to hit a certain color. So the chances of hitting the unit on one die is 1 in 6, which is pretty slim. However, you can increase it depending on the unit. So let's look at the unit and see if there's anything special here. Okay, so that's a heavy unit. All right, and here you go. Or that's not a heavy unit, I'm sorry, it's a medium unit. Okay, so they have close combat. They have, let's see, 3 close combat dice. As you can see right now, let me see, where am I? Try to line up right there. Okay, 3 close combat dice, and the thing is also they will be able to use swords, okay? So the swords increase their chance. So you have this symbol, the sword, okay? Right here. So right now, from what I explained, you can either roll the symbol of the unit that they're attacking, which is a square, or a sword. That'll count as a hit. So the chances of hitting it, the unit, have increased from 1 to 6 to 1 to 3 chance, okay? But there's more, okay? This unit has a leader, okay? And the leader, it provides a bonus for the unit they're in and any adjacent units. So let's say that this unit right here was next to it, okay? Since this unit is adjacent to the leader, that unit will also get the bonus. And that bonus is they can hit on the leader symbol, okay? And that is the leader symbol. So let's review. Okay, first of all, you get an automatic chance to hit with by rolling the symbol of the unit you're attacking, which is red. Because they're a special unit that uses sword, they can hit on a sword, and since they have a leader, they can hit on a leader. So guess what? Their chances of hitting on one die has increased from 1 to 6 to 50%, okay? Because of the leader and their sword bonus, all right? And like I said, if we looked at the cheat sheet, let's see. If we look at the cheat sheet again, and this cheat sheet's very handy, you get 3 attack dice, okay? So let's roll this thing, shall we? All right, so they're gonna roll 3 attack dice, the Romans. And okay, check this out. They got 2 hits, okay? They got 1 sword and 1 red, so that means they have to remove 2 blocks, removes that, and they pretty much wiped them out. Okay, so let's do another battle scenario. Okay, so let's look it over here, okay? So we have the Carthaginians, they're being, or they're attacking units. Let's say it's their turn to attack, and they have 2 units that are adjacent to them. Okay, and also let's focus on this particular unit right here. Alright, so let me show you the symbol, the retreat symbol, okay? So here is the retreat symbol. So if you're the attacker and you roll the retreat symbol, the unit that you're attacking has to move their full let's see, their full move distance toward their own end of the board, okay? Okay, so if I typically, let's say these guys aren't here right now, okay? So let's say he attacks this unit and they roll a retreat, okay? So that means this unit has to move toward their end of their side of the board, the maximum number they can move. And these units right here, they move 2, so they have to move 2 back, okay? All right. So okay, so let's see how can we alleviate that. All right. Now here's the thing. Well, actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and move this unit right here, okay? So I can give these guys a bonus. All right. Okay, so let's say that these 2 guys are attacking this, or this guy is attacking that unit over there again. All right. All right. First of all, they get, let me see, they get 2 close combat dice. All right, and they'll be able to hit on both the leader symbol and the green symbol because they're attacking a green thing. Okay. Now, and they don't have swords, so they won't be able to use the sword thing. So let's say that, well, they roll a hit and they roll a retreat. Okay, well, first of all, they take the hit because they rolled the hit, and they have a retreat. Now, however, check this out. Because they're adjacent to 2 friendly units, they're allowed to remove or to ignore 1 retreat symbol. So guess what? They don't retreat. All right. Also, if there is a leader that is adjacent to them, they won't be able to, they'll be able to ignore another flag as well. So in this case, they'll be able to ignore 2 retreat flags. Okay, so that's why leaders are real important. They're real important when you're attacking because they give you that bonus to roll, you know, leader symbols to hit, and they also prevent you from retreating. All right, so okay, so that's pretty much the game. Every unit that you kill, that you eliminate completely, you get a banner. Okay, you get this symbol right here. Okay, and there's, in this scenario, you got to collect a set amount of banners. In this particular scenario, if you collect 5 banners, you win, and it varies on scenario to scenario, but primarily the number of units you kill, and once you hit that victory point limit, you win the game. So it's a real simple war game, real light, but a lot of fun. Okay, so you can tell it's a lot of similarities between those Warhammer Fantasy type war games where you have 2 players, 2 armies just face off against each other. And yeah, it's very similar to that. And it uses the card system that Richard Borg is famous for. And also, it's a lot quicker or less maintenance than a miniatures game because all you use are blocks. And I think the blocks are a good representation. You just got to put little stickers on the blocks, and that could take a long time, but it's a lot easier than painting your figures and, I don't know, like modifying it and all that. So I think it's a good alternative to war games, but to the miniature war game. But again, it has its own flavor. The battles are based on real events, and there's not much micromanaging. You just pretty much go in there, fight, and just duke it out. And it's real simple, and you still get the flavor of a nice, decent war game.
Alright, before I get into my opinion on this game, let me give you my definition of a war game, because it's not as easy as you think. Now, the typical non-gamer, or the casual gamer, they may think that a war game is any game that has to do with war, and that's simple enough. But to some people, it's not that easy. Because if you go by that definition, would Risk be a war game because technically you're conquering territories? Would Small World be a war game because of the same thing, area control? Or is it more like miniatures, like Warhammer 40K? Is that a war game? Or is it like typical about 90% of the GMT games that are based on real historic events, like the Vietnam War or World War II or ancient Roman, just like this, and with lots of micromanaging? I mean, is that really a war game? And some hardcore war gamers say, yeah, that's a real war game. But like I said, the casual player might think Risk is a war game. Or the miniature gamer, they say the real war game is like Warhammer 40K, War Machine, and all that. Okay, so there's several definitions of a war game. Oh, man, for me, I think a war game is what you think a war game is. If it's just simply a game based on war, so be it, okay? But, I don't think it really matters, okay? But about this, how would I categorize this? Then the reason why I'm sort of trying to give you these definitions of what a war game is, because this kind of, with all those definitions of war game, I think this is the perfect balance. This is right in the middle of like Risk, and then the miniature games, and then the real complicated mega micromanaging war games. I think this is a good medium, okay? And it should satisfy, I think, both ends of the spectrum, in my opinion. I know there's some hardcore war gamers that don't like this because it's too easy, and some people don't like the order mechanics by using cards. They'd rather roll dice or no dice at all. But in my opinion, if you don't roll dice at all, then guess what? It's chess. Now, is chess could be considered a war game? I don't know. That could be considered a war game. But anyways, in my opinion, this is the right balance of a war game. Not too complex and not too easy like Risk, okay? And it does feel like a war game because, in fact, those little blocks, it kind of reminds me of those warlords or those big generals back in ancient times, looking over the map and moving those little squares along to, you know, trying to come up with a strategy for their war, right? And so it really has a good feel to it. Now, this review, I'm going to put, because I know there's another variant of this called Commands and Colors Napoleonics, and it has the same mechanics as this, some slight differences, because this is in ancient times. The Napoleonics is during the Napoleon times, when Napoleon tried to conquer the world from France. So they have guns, more sophisticated guns and cannons, while these are just bows and swords. Okay, so other than that, the mechanic is the same, and yeah, it just feels the same. Now, there's also Memoir 44 and Battlelore, which uses the same Richard Borg war mechanic, which is pretty much your cards, but they have a more different flavor, so I'm not going to include those. They're kind of its own thing, even though it plays the same. It's just like, you know, World War II and fantasy, okay? It adds just enough to be different. So I'm just reviewing Commands and Colors, Ancients, and Napoleonics, okay? So anyways, I really do like this game, okay? I do like the card-driven mechanism because it adds an element of randomness to the game, and I do like a little randomness, okay? Now, some people complain, well, heck, if I want to move my units from the right and I don't have the right flank order, I mean, what am I going to do? Well, you know, just, you know, try your best, and I'm a big fan of the philosophy, play with the hand you're dealt with, okay? So, hey, just deal with it, and maybe your right flank order will come someday. Or maybe you only have one in your hand, and you might have to save it. If your strong units are on one particular side, you may want to save it or try to, like, you know, bait them to go on that side. You can work around it, okay? And that, you know, that just creates more strategy and more strategy for you. So I'm okay with it. And as for it's really easy, okay? You roll a dice, try to match your numbers, you get some bonuses, that's it. You don't have to look up stats or anything, maybe that little cheat sheet, but it's not that bad. And, you know, I played Warhammer 40K and everything, and, you know, the one thing is like looking through all those stats and trying to figure out the bonuses, especially if you're playing a new army, and really, and if you're playing another army, and you pretty much have to trust them of what their bonuses are, unless you're crazy and want to study every army. But yeah, this is nice and easy. It goes pretty fast, the scenarios are good, and the board looks real nice, and I like the components for a block, so it kind of scratches that same itch of Warhammer Fantasy, okay, and Warhammer 40K for me. And yeah, I really do like this game, okay? Nice, medium war game. Yes, it's a war game. Alright, so with that, I will give Commands and Colors Ancients as well as Napoleonics an 8 out of 10. For me, it's the perfect weight of a war game, alright? And I don't care what people say, I think this is a war game and I like it. Alright, and that is it. Until next time, I will see you later. Goodbye.